Okay, Russell. So I was hoping we could pretend or act as if this is a business coaching session. You have people rocking up to your office for consults and stuff, people in your mastermind. Mm-hmm. So if I rocked up as like a new client or something, how would a business coaching session with you, like, what would that look like?
What does it look like?
How do we start?
It depends if we're just met. If we just met, like, I try to figure out what in the world you do. So I kind of know what you do, which helps a lot. But I guess the biggest question is there's always a gap between where you are and where you want to be. Like, what's that gap? What's it look like? Yeah. I know where you're at right now. Where are you trying to get to? And then we can kind of figure out what's missing.
Okay, so last year we did about $5.5 million in revenue. Mm-hmm. We're operating at about like 55-60% growth. Operating profit pre-tax, whatever, EBITDA, whatever the number that is. And that's cool. And
what percentage was it?
Like 55, 60, something like that. And what I would love to do in the game of entrepreneurship is to go from 5 million to 10 million, and also ideally try and dissociate the business revenue from me having to show up and continuously film YouTube videos. Mm. So I guess those are our two main things. Grow revenue, but do it in a way that doesn't necessarily require, allows me to take a month off without the business then tanking.
Yeah, for sure. Where's the revenue breakdown? Like course sales versus other stuff versus where's the 5 million come from?
Yep, nice. So about 2 million-ish is from our content, which is sort of AdSense on YouTube videos and sponsorships. And the other 3 million-ish is from course sales. Okay. And so last year, the only course we had was our part-time YouTuber Academy, which is just a single product. We were doing that as a live cohort for about 3 years. And then last year we switched it to Evergreen. We did a final cohort, did a big launch, did 2 million for that launch, which was nice. And so we have that as a $1,000 self-paced course now. And we also have a $5,000 a year kind of coaching-y program for YouTubers, our YouTuber Accelerator, where my team gives people one-on-one support for growing their channels. Mm-hmm. We think $5,000 for 12 months is probably way too cheap, given how much of a nightmare it is to fulfill on that. So we're now thinking of turning that.
People charge for something similar.
Yeah, because we were feeling like, we need to give so much value, and then we're like, crap, we've sort of signed ourselves up for this 12-month thing. So we're thinking of turning that into like $5,000 for 3 months, which feels a bit more reasonable. We're thinking of turning our YouTuber self-paced course into $1,000 a year community membership type thing. We're thinking of maybe adding in a $300 product. But then a month ago, we created a new value ladder for productivity, which is the thing that I'm known for. It was a bit accidental that we ended up making all this money from YouTube, because I'm not known for the guy who teaches people how to grow on YouTube. That's not my shtick. Yeah. My shtick is how to be more productive. So we launched Productivity Lab, which is a $1,000 a year membership community. And we sold 500 spots within 48 hours, and we capped it at 500. Mm-hmm. And that's been going for a month now, and people love it, and it's great. And so we really want to scale that up, but without like diluting the quality of the community by having too many people in it. Mm-hmm. We're thinking maybe adding like a one-on-one productivity coaching offer on the back end, and maybe a sort of $300 course above, sort of at the top of the value ladder as a way of getting people in. So I just threw a lot of that at you. I don't know if any of that makes sense.
100%.
Yeah.
Now, right now, so basically each of those you sold during a launch, right? So you did a launch, I'm guessing that you sent emails, you were creating videos specifically for it, and then anything else is happening when you're launching those?
Yeah. So we start by building a waitlist, by funneling traffic from socials and from YouTube occasionally and from my newsletter into this waitlist. We build up a waitlist, and then we do like a launch sequence, like 10 to 15 days worth of emails to that waitlist. And then that's how we do the launches when we were doing launches for our YouTuber Academy and when we did the launch for Productivity Lab. Mm-hmm. But where I'd love to get to, and I'd love to get your take on this, is for me, like launches are quite a stressful way to run a business. And when we were running live cohorts for our YouTuber Academy 3 times a year, it was a real like, fingers crossed, like this 1 week where we can get sales out of like a 4-month period, like let's hope we make enough money. And that feels kind of stressful. So I'd love for the revenue to be a little bit more like chill, a little bit more recurring. Yeah. Which is why we like the idea of turning YouTuber Academy into Evergreen self-paced course.
Yeah. The launch game, like people live or die by it. Cause it's like sometimes they hit a launch and they get, $3-5 million in sales. And then a year later they do the launch again. And this time it hits $100,000 in sales. And like, but they built up thinking it's going to be as big as, all that kind of stuff.
Mate, we had exactly that.
It stresses me out.
During the pandemic, the course completely like printed cash. Mm-hmm. Straight after the pandemic, it stopped printing cash, and we were like, uh-oh, all of our projections were based on this continuing to print cash. Money does not grow on trees. This was kind of bad. So I want to avoid that kind of state of affairs.
Yeah. So right now, if you're not doing a launch, those sales aren't coming in. So is there Evergreen kind of working now? Or?
Yeah. So we have one Evergreen product. Okay. So we have actually, if I draw it out, it might be easier. Sure. So we kind of have Nice. Oh, nice thick pens. So we have our sort of YouTube value ladder, and we have our sort of productivity stuff. So on the YouTube, we have a $1 self-paced course, which upsells people into a 1K self-paced course, which in theory gets people to apply for the 5K 12-month program. But
you said apply, so you call them on the phone to sell it, or what's the process?
Yeah, we had a sales guy. So they would apply, and then the sales guy would go on a call with them, and then if they were the right fit, great. We've closed sales for this right now because we want to revamp the offer because it was a bit much. Yeah. So
this is $1 just for...
it's like a YouTube for Beginners course.
Okay.
So roughly we get like maybe, 200 sales a week of this, 200 per week. And roughly 4% of people take the upsell to the $1,000 product. And overall the $1,000 product, we get like 20 to 30 sales per week. So this is doing like 20K a week. But I'd love...
And this is just Evergreen coming through.
This is Evergreen, and this is currently closed because we are trying to figure out what to do.
And then this is this like they buy this and it's like an upsell, like in funnel, or is this happening? Is there some other mechanism that you're selling this out?
Oh, yeah. So they could either buy this directly. There's a $27 order bump. Thank you for that idea. Of which maybe 30% of people take that. And then also they could just buy this directly. So a handful of sales each week trickle in from the upsell, but a bunch of sales come in directly from them just landing on the thing, because this is really aimed at complete beginners. This is how to get your first 2 videos out there. Yeah. Whereas this is more like the whole shebang, like everything about growing on YouTube.
Yeah. Okay. And then do you sell this through a webinar or just a VSL or
a landing page? A really, really long landing page that really needs to be shorter, but that's the only way we sell this.
It's like, is it copy based or video based, or like what's on the landing page?
There is a video at the top, but then there's shit tons of copy. Yeah.
Why do you want to make it shorter?
I don't know. I just feel like it's a bit too long. Actually, interestingly, our conversion rate on this landing page is about 0.4%. Oh dear. 0.4% conversion rate on this landing page. So from person visiting landing page to sale, about 0.4%, which feels a bit low because it's mostly organic. We started doing paid a couple of months ago, and I actually don't know what the conversion rate is of like paid versus organic. So that's actually something to think about. P versus O.
And then are people like the organic side? Are you have videos specifically promoting this, or every video like in the description you're pushing this, or what's...
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, good point. So we have every video promoting this thing, but also I have a handful of videos on my channel that are like how to grow on YouTube. Those get evergreen traffic, and I casually mention, oh, by the way, I've got a course, and I think people are clicking on those. And we have UTM tracking, but I haven't looked at it in a while, so that's a good point.
Cool. Okay, I understand that.
You understand this, and then on this end, we basically have this 1K per year kind of community membership type thing, which we launched last month. The idea behind this is that it's like Peloton for productivity. So every day there's like Zoom co-working sessions. Every week we're doing facilitated weekly planning. Every month there's Obsession. Every quarter I do a quarterly webinar to plan your next quarter. We want to do in-person events and everything, and all of this is 1K a year. And at the moment we've got 500 people in this. We've been doing it for a month. They're all really happy. And we'd love to scale this value ladder and also this one to get us to this goal of 10 million in a way that doesn't require me to always be showing up and churning out videos.
And the revenue from this versus
this did about 3 million last year.
Okay.
And this so far has done, 500K.
Oh yeah. 500K a year. Cool. Which one are you more passionate about?
This one.
Really? Interesting.
I love talking about productivity. I no longer love talking about YouTube. This is our YouTuber Academy, and so I'd kind of love to get to the point where, like, to be honest, like my team is now more YouTube experts than I am. I just it's so systemized that I just rock up and do my thing.
Yeah.
And so my YouTube producer is like an actual expert on how to grow on YouTube, and so I want him to be doing like mini courses and webinars and stuff within the YouTuber Academy because he's like boots on the ground. Our editors are freaking amazing, and so I want them to be doing stuff. I don't know anything about video editing anymore, so it's like, yeah. Whereas this productivity is kind of my jam. Yeah, this is what I enjoy.
Was it hard to sell the $1,000 a year thing? Like, for your, like...
Yeah, so we had a wait list of like 30,000 people. This was, so they signed up before they knew what the price point was. And we did some post sign up segmentation and found like 70% of them were making under $2,000 a month. So they wouldn't qualify for the product anyway. But no, we sold 500 within 2 days. Within the first like 10 minutes, we got like half the spots sold. So it seemed like there was a lot of demand for this offer. But also my whole shtick is productivity. We've got like 5.5 million subscribers for productivity. And this was the first time we've released a product other than my book, which is about productivity. So, yeah.
Very cool. And then did you close down signups for that, or just?
Yeah, this is now closed. Yeah. And we're building a waitlist. We've now got 50,000 on the waitlist for this. But again, like our post thingy segmentation is a bit dodge. So I don't exactly know how many of them would actually qualify to buy this product.
Yeah. And you're making them qualify by how much money they make or by what?
One of the questions is how much money do you make? And that's helpful.
Do you only sell to people who qualify, or do you sell to anybody?
As in, we sell to anyone, but it's more like, because it's a low friction sale. They can just sign up. But I'm assuming that if someone makes less than 2K a month, they're not going to buy this.
You'd be blown away.
Really?
100%.
I'm also assuming that if like they're outside of the US, the UK, and Europe, they're also not going to buy the thing. Which kind of broadly holds true. Like 70% of our customers are US. Yeah. Average age is 38. So they all have jobs / are entrepreneurs.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you a funny story about Hormozy. So when Hormozy shifted from going out and doing gym launches for people, he started selling the license to his product. The very first phone sale he did, he sold it for $6K. And the guy was like, done. And he's like, oh. So then the next call, he's like, it's $8K. And the guy's like, done. He's like, oh. So the next guy is like 10. He kept going up till eventually it landed, I think it was like $36,000 a year to sign up. But the crazy is the average gym owner only takes home $25,000 a year. So they were paying more than their yearly take home for this thing because they believed it was going to help them to make more. So anyway, just from a pricing standpoint, like people will buy what they want, not what they necessarily can afford or need. Anyway, but and price elasticity is huge, especially on something like this, where if you have someone launch a YouTube channel, how much money a year could or should they be making off of a YouTube channel?
Oh, if it's big, then stupid numbers.
Yeah. But for an average person, like someone who's like the person who's coming in here and starting, like, what do you think year one?
Like nothing. I think for beginners to YouTube, YouTube is not a make money scheme. Mm-hmm. It's only a make money scheme for a very small number of people. Most people
positioned as a make money thing, or
no, it's positioned as a will save you time on the journey of growing your YouTube channel. Okay. Maybe you'll make money, maybe you won't, but I guarantee in 2 years, if you do it every week, it'll change your life. That's our whole pitch. And our most common customer is the 38-year-old accountant who always wanted to start a YouTube channel because she has a passion for knitting and wants to share that and doesn't really care about making money from it. And of course, if she made money from it, it's a bonus. Yeah. So that's about 70%.
They just want to talk. That's crazy.
Yeah, they just love it. And 30% is like, I'm an entrepreneur. I've got an offer. I want leads.
Yeah.
Help me out.
Gotcha.
We also sort of, in the background, we're trying to do like a 10K a month thing, which is sort of done for you videos, where we have, I think, your friend Ryan Dice as our first client.
Oh, cool.
So we're working with him to try and do done for you for his YouTube channel.
Like he is filming and editing, or just editing, or what?
So he's filming the stuff, and then we're doing all the editing, the titles, the thumbnails, the whole shebang. So one of my team members is sort of leading on this and trying to grow this as a mini agency.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's a bit of a experimental one.
You see if you like that business.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see how it feels.
Okay, awesome. So with any business, there's like 1,000 things you could do.
Yep. So
I was looking at like, if this was mine and if I was to take, like, say I bought this company from you tomorrow, like what would be the first thing I would do? Nice. And so like, I think I think I would focus here first because there's bigger revenue. And I feel like also right here, you're not ready to turn this into 5,000 people, right? Because you said you're nervous about just the fulfillment and keeping the community.
Yeah.
You have a thing, you want to make more money, but you want to keep the community small. It's like,
yeah, I want to.
It's weird.
I know. Yeah. So I want more people to come into this, but I want the experience. I don't want the experience to be diluted. We're trying to figure out ways to do this. Like, do we do quarterly launches where I do a quarterly planning webinar and then we do like a 90-day cohort so that then they're in a smaller group of people and so they feel as if they're part of a small group. We're thinking of splitting them up into like Harry Potter houses within that. So there's another smaller group. And so if we can nail, how do we cut this community into smaller groups that they feel that personal connection in, then this can really scale. But we haven't nailed that yet. So we're still in the experimenting. Our next cohort for this is launching like next month. And so we're going to let in a couple of hundred more people and experiment with this 90-day model and just figure out how do we get this to scale without it.
Is there progression over time inside of here? Like for your program, is it like they're trying to get to this level and like, is there progression in it or is it more circular?
It's so the idea, the promise is we'll help you double your productivity. And so they do a survey at the start and a survey at the end. And like, actually, we're actually pretty close to doubling people's productivity, just doubling, in just a month, which is kind of nice. But it's sort of like, it's not like it's going to take your business from 10K to 100K. It's more like, hey, these are just generally useful habits where every day you rock up and do some deep work. Every week you do a weekly review. And it's just a thing that keeps on going.
But is there stuff where like, the reason I'm asking is like,
Yeah.
'cause I know I want to solve this problem if there's like a progression. If like, okay, someone comes into this and they're going to go through this and then they're going to graduate or get a certificate or something, right? They've accomplished this. Now they're going to move to the next step. And like, there's milestones. Is there milestones that someone can progress through, or is it more circular? Where it's just like, you keep.
It's more circular. It's more like CrossFit, like exercise classes.
Okay.
Yes, you could go to ultimately, fundamentally, you keep showing up to the exercise classes to stay in shape.
Okay.
It's that sort of idea, but for productivity.
Gotcha. Okay. There's probably some version. Cause my biggest fear on this one for you is like, what I've noticed with people, if there's a subconscious block to growing something, they won't grow it. And so like right now you have a subconscious block because you don't want to mess up the community. And so for you to go from 500 to 5,000 members would not be hard technically, but subconsciously you're going to fight it because you're like, you know what I mean?
Interesting.
So yeah, usually it's almost always psychology that keeps people back. It's very rarely tactics.
Okay.
So that'd be the thing is like, I think if you can fix that problem, then that one will open up.
Yep.
So like the way, again, I don't know the answer, but like we're doing this right now in our certification program because we had the same thing where people are coming in and all of a sudden we're selling it throughout the year. So you come in and you have someone who's been going through the program. They're a great funnel builder, doing all sorts of stuff. But then the problem is like brand new person comes in and they're asking questions and the person who's been doing this for a year and a half is like annoyed by this whole thing. And so the way we're restructuring ours, and it's really, really cool, but it's based on there's modules and milestones, right? So I look at a timeline here where it's like you come in and then this is the first milestone. So in our world, it's like you make your first 10K as a funnel builder. Then the next milestone, there's 50K and there's 100K and then there's $1 million, right? So there's these goals we're moving towards. And inside there's these little badges that people have to do to get the next goal.
Nice.
And then what's cool about this is we have a process where it's like when you first come in, you have you as like the, or me, who are like the guru teaching, but then internally there's mentors. So people who are past the 10,000 mark, they're like part of their role to get to here is like to become mentors. Mm-hmm. So they're coming in and instead of being annoyed, like, oh, this person's a beginner, they're like, hey, I'm going to mentor. So they help get somebody to this spot.
Yep.
And as soon as you get to the spot, then you get the new mentors who have been here, but then you also become a mentee for people who are behind you. So now there's like, that's cool. They're moving towards, but also pulling back. And then what's cool is then you can keep dumping people in here and they're going through this. And when someone's on a call or a question, you're like, oh, well, I'm on level 3 right now. I'm level 4. Then they know exactly where they're at. And then you or the people know how to help them. Like, oh, I was stuck level 3 too. The biggest problem is you got to figure out how to do blah, it helps move the progression. So this gives you the ability where you could have 5,000 people and it doesn't get overwhelming to the community if you can figure out some version of this for yours. I don't know exactly what it look like, but.
Nice. That's
until you're pumped about getting 5,000 people in there, it's going to be hard for you to get more than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because right now, if we 10x'd it overnight, I'd be like, oh my, okay, uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, your subconscious mind will definitely burn that to the ground before it lets you get there.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So once we nail, nice. Something like this, milestone, small group experience, something like that. At the point where I feel like, hell yeah, we can scale this to 5,000. Then it becomes a lot easier to do.
Yeah. Because there's always like, it's either a math problem or a drama problem. And like
a math problem or what?
A math problem or a drama problem.
Oh,
the math problem we solve with like, okay, we just create a funnel, drive some math, that's easy. The drama problems, it's not real, but it's in our heads, and that'll sabotage us solving the math problem because we're like, you know what I mean? So that'd be like, solve that, then we can talk about the funnels there. This one, I feel like, this seems like it's all in place where like, if you went to 200 a week, you wouldn't stress out.
No, I would love that.
Yeah, you'd be fine. So this is the easier one to solve right now because it's just math problem versus this is a drama problem.
Interesting. That's fun. I'm going to label this. This is great. I have never heard of this framing of it before, but that's cool. So this is math and this is drama.
Solve the drama, then we'll do the math. That'll be
yeah.
I got it from Brooke Castillo, who's like the greatest life coach of all time. She came to our audience and started talking about like it's either math or drama. And it's funny because we did a whole Q&A and people stuck and every time they come in, it's like, okay, before I answer this, is this a math problem or a drama problem? And they're like, it's drama. Like, hey, let's just solve that because it's not real. It's psychology versus like actually solving
That's really, really good.
So then going back to like, okay, it's the math problem we got to solve is just this. Because everything else is all, you got to raise this to like 15K or something. But that's the biggest thing is like, this is the bottleneck that if you fix that, because if you're getting 20, 30 a week organically off of 0.4% conversion rate, if you fix this piece, that becomes 200 a week's not hard because you're going to still get the organic and then it gives you the ability to turn on ads. So I wish I could see this page. So this page right now, I'm assuming you're saying it's
like really
video sales letter of you selling it.
Yep.
And then long form.
And then
how long's the page? Do you think?
Like tens of thousands of words. This episode of Deep Dive is very kindly sponsored by YNAB, which stands for You Need a Budget. Now, for many people, money is a cause of guilt and anxiety. You're never entirely sure where all your money goes, and you're left feeling guilty about purchases, big or small. Money is often associated with restriction, fear, and uncertainty. But your money is an extension of you in many ways, and it's obviously not ideal to feel so bad about it. Now, YNAB is an app that's helping millions of people change their mindset around money. It's built on 4 simple habits which could transform the way you think about money. These habits are, firstly, give every dollar a job. 2, embrace your true expenses. 3, roll with the punches. And 4, age your money. Now, these habits are actually really simple. Giving every dollar a job basically just means that you plan out the different things you want to spend your money on after you've been paid. Then all you have to do is stick to the plan, knowing that you already have enough to cover everything. Your true expenses refers to those big non-monthly outgoings like trying to buy a car or a holiday deposit. You want to break these down and you want to save in advance so that hopefully you're not hit by a big charge that you were not expecting. And one of the things that I really love about YNAB is their idea of rolling with the punches. Because sometimes life does throw things at you, like a piece of tech breaks and you need to have it fixed, or you get your stuff stolen from the back of your car, like happened to me, or a pipe bursts and you have to call a plumber. YNAB helps you set money aside in advance to help cushion you from life's unexpected expenses. They also recognize that we can feel really guilty for spending money. So if you do spend more than you planned, that's totally okay. Just move your money to wherever it's needed. It's yours at the end of the day. And you can even age your money, spend less than you earn, and have a nice stack of saved money waiting for your bills as they come in, not the other way around. In an ideal world, money really shouldn't be scary or stressful for us, and we actually have way more control over our money than we often think. So if you're interested, you can try out YNAB today, and you can see if this approach to budgeting can make a difference in the way that you think about money. So thank you again, YNAB, for sponsoring this episode of Deep Dive. We've just recently, we're working with a CRO agency. We've installed Microsoft's Hotjar equivalent, whatever it's called. Mm-hmm. Found out what areas the heat map are like more. It's like, okay, cool. Some of the testimonials are outdated. Some of the graphs, the growth graphs that we have are outdated. So there's basic things that we can do to like tweak that.
Yeah. So the bigger thing is, I'm sure there's ways you optimize this. Usually optimization, you go from 0.4 to like 0.6 or something. So it's not like,
it's not
going to be a radical shift.
Yeah.
The radical shift is like shifting the funnel, the way you're actually selling it. Because selling a $1,000 offer through a video sales on a long form page is like, it's a tool, but it's not the most effective tool.
Oh, okay. What do you recommend?
I mean? So shifting the tool is how you do it. Like for me to sell a $1,000 course, there's 2 tools that are like the best in the world to sell a $1,000 course. And one is a webinar, one's a challenge. And so it's shifting the tool. Because on a webinar, if you get people on a webinar and they watch the presentation, if you do a good webinar, 10% of people who come to the webinar will buy. So it changes the math of it all, right?
And are we talking like live, or are we talking about fake live, or are we talking about?
The very first time is live, and I do it live a few times till you master the pitch, and then you transition. So, for example, I launched ClickFunnels. The very first, so we tried 6 different times to launch ClickFunnels, and I was trying sales letters. I was trying the tools that work but not well, and I was trying the thing. And then, like 4 or 5 months into ClickFunnels, I got asked to speak at an event. And all the older versions I was selling just like a trial, like sign for a trial. And it was costing us like $200-$300 to get someone to sign for a trial. It was just like, it wasn't working, right?
Yeah.
So my friend's like, hey, come speak at my event. I want you to speak. And then at the end of your presentation, I want you to sell ClickFunnels. I was like, nobody's buying ClickFunnels. He's like, well, make a $1,000 version that you can bundle it together and then make an offer. So I spoke at this event, did the webinar, and in a room of 300 people, we signed up like 100 and something people. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I did the webinar. So I did, it wasn't webinars, it was on stage, but I did the presentation and it crushed.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is, when I was leaving the hotel to go fly home, I was in the lobby and there was this lady ran up to me. She's like, oh, your presentation was awesome. She's like, the problem is like, I'm a coach and so I can't use ClickFunnels. I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, during your presentation, you showed how you use funnels to build a supplement company, but I don't have a supplement company. I'm a coach and I can't use ClickFunnels. And I was like, I have coaching funnels too. Like you have no, like this works for coaches. And she's like, are you serious? And she had no idea. So she ran back into the event room. It was still going on another day. And she grabbed one of her friends. They grabbed order forms. They came out. Both of them handed me an order form. Like we had no idea this would work for coaches. I thought it was just for supplement people. I was like, oh my gosh. Like I need to mention the fact. So on the flight home, I take my presentation and I added in like 2 or 3 slides. Like, hey, if you're a coach, this is how it works. And if you're this is how it works. And so I could tweak the webinar a little bit. So then, when I got back home, I started lining up webinars to start doing more of these webinars.
Yeah.
And I remember the very first day back, I had 2 webinars lined up. So I did a webinar in the morning. I think I had like 600 people register for it. Did the webinar and we did like $30,000 in sales off the webinar, which was not bad. I was like, this is pretty good. But then before the next webinar happened, I had another webinar that night that had about the same amount of people registered. And my, my business partner, Todd, he went and he exported all the questions from the first webinar. And he was like, hey, just so you know, at minute 12, everyone's asking this question. They're confused. I was like, oh, I looked at my slides. And I'm like, oh, I can. So I just resolved that. Like I added, right? And then he's like, over here, they were confused. So like we found all the sticking spots. And so I found all those things. We, in the offer, they were confused about the offer. So we tweaked that a little bit. We changed some stuff.
Yeah.
And then I did a webinar, same size audience. And that time we did over $100,000 in sales. And I was like, dang. So then after that, then Todd exported the questions again. And we did that 70 times.
70
webinars and over to the point where it got so good. Like I can do the webinar by memory now. But like every concern before it came up, I was able to resolve it. Like if you watched it, it was just like you had to buy. And so long term, definitely evergreen it, but short term, like you got to do it at least 3 or 4 times to go through that process of just figure out what those things are.
Yeah. Because
the first time you never know but the audience will tell you exactly like where they're confused. Like people are, yeah. So for me, it's like, that's what I would do first. I would like, let's create a webinar. Let's sell this $1,000 course. Let's do a live one to your audience.
Yep.
We test it. In fact, I literally did this right now. Last week I did I bought salesfunnels.com. So we did a webinar there. We had 10,000 people register, did the webinar, found the mistakes, tweaked it all. And then that was last Thursday. So today I'm doing it again. We got 4,500 people registered for today. I'm going to do it again. And then we're going to tweak it again.
Yeah.
And I'll do that 3 or 4 times. And then then we'll have the evergreen version. Then we'll turn it on. And then we'll have 30, 40,000 people want to watch that webinar for the next 2 or 3 years. We just keep driving traffic and it's just crushing thousands of sales.
So the ads are getting people to the webinar and then you're just sort of measuring the effectiveness of, and that's figured out
Then you figure out, okay, it's going to cost me, $10 to get someone to register for the webinar. From there, we get 30% show up rate. From 30% show up rate, we get 10% to buy. And the follow-up sequence usually will double the sales. And so you just look at the math on that. It's like, okay, cool. Right now we spend $10,000 a week and we make $30,000. So then you start, then go to $100,000 a week, make $300,000. Go to $1 million a week. It's just ramping up the equation. Just like a slot machine at that point. You like put money in, you get it back out.
Damn.
But that's the magic. For this, like, that's the best way to sell this is creating a webinar and just doing it 3 or 4 times. Once you're an audience, once there's some cold ads, once traffic, and then you perfect it, and then now you evergreen it. And then moving forward, like that thing's just selling for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Dude, that's sick. Can I do webinars on ClickFunnels?
100%.
Sick.
Yes. Perfect. You better do them in ClickFunnels. They don't work anywhere else.
Okay. Talk to me about challenge. How does challenge work?
So challenges are very similar to webinars. Webinars, like traditionally, it's like a 90-minute presentation. So everything's coming, you register, 90-minute presentation, you make an offer, you make this offer at the end of it, and then there's the whole follow-up sequence and all that stuff. Challenge is like, traditionally people would do a 3-day challenge or a 5-day challenge. It's the same script as the webinar, but it's broken. Instead of, like if you look at my webinar script, it's basically, this is the clock. So this is an hour. So I break it down into 4 quarters. Like there's 4 things you teach during the webinar to break false beliefs to get them to want to buy. And then the second half, you're going to do 30 minutes, which is like your pitch, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a 90-minute presentation. With the challenge, it's the same structure, but it's broken up by day. So like day number 1, you do basically this part and this part.
Yeah.
Day number 2, you're doing this part. Day number 3, you do this. And day number 4 is this. It's just kind of broken up longer form. So it's nice for like educators because you get to teach. Like here, I have 15 minutes to talk about this. Here you got an hour or hour and a half. You get more teaching time.
Yeah.
You get more time in front of people. So challenges work great. The only downside of challenges is like, I don't know, doing a 5-day challenge 5 or 6 times to perfect it is a lot of work. And it's harder to evergreen a challenge just because there's more break off points, right? Like there's people register and then people show up to day 1, but not day 2. And then day 2, but not day, like there's more breakage points.
Yeah.
Whereas here I try to max. So I'm a webinar guy. I love webinars because I can maximize how many people showing up and selling and I can control this and tweak this a lot easier than a challenge. But we have people in our community who just kill challenges. Like, so they're both good tools. It just kind of depends on the style you like better,
That's very interesting. And if we turn this into a 1K for 12 months type offer where you get access to the community as well and events and stuff, same thing. Like webinar is better to sell a 1K product.
100%. Yeah, at that price point, selling $1,000 offer off of just a straight sales page is very hard. Like one of the hardest. So 0.4% is not bad on $1,000 offer. Like I was like, that's not bad at all.
Okay. Cool, that's useful. Yeah, because the conversion rate on this one is like 20%. Because it's $1 product. And I'm like, 0.4%? Like, I heard industry average was 1%. Surely we can double it. That kind of thing. $1,000 offer though. Okay, but then the other thing is like, what's cool is someone registers for webinar, they go through. So like, if you look at my webinar sequence, so the way I do it is we start the sequence over every week. So there's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so this is the sequence, right?
Yep.
So we do is we buy ads Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and half a day Thursday. And then Thursday, I usually perform my webinar. It doesn't have to be Thursday. It can be Wednesday. It can be like, for me, for my audience, my time, I found that's been like the best time for me. And then that's done. And then what happens on Friday, then you give them a replay. Saturday, then what I try to do is I try to think about different modalities, right? Everyone consumes things different ways. Some people like watch YouTube videos, some people like podcasts, some people like to read. And so I'm trying to give them different modalities because some people are going to show up live, some people will never show up live, right? So you might get 20 to 30% who actually show up live. That means 70% didn't, right? So then I'm targeting those other 70%, like get them to watch a replay because they want it, they just want it on their time schedule, right? So then they have a day or so to kind of to go through and like watch it here on Friday. Then on Saturday, I start shifting, okay, what are the modalities? I'm like, the way we position is like, those who didn't have time to actually watch the webinar, I got a Clip Notes version of the webinar. You could actually read the whole thing. And I'll send them to this page right here. So this becomes like, this is the Clip Notes of the webinar. So they can watch the shorter video, read it all. And so what happens is you start picking up a lot of people here, but most of them already went through the sequence. So the conversions will go up no matter what, because there's so much pre-framing that happened here and here. Then you get people to read it. So there's a different modality, people who buy here. And then usually, Saturday and Sunday, this is where we try to bring in, urgency. Sunday, then even Monday. And so what happens here is then, we give urgency and scarcity. So basically it's like this campaign shuts down Monday at midnight.
Yeah.
And so you got to Monday to decide to go all in. And so it goes down there, and then Monday at midnight, the offer closes down for everyone in this cohort.
Yep.
And so if they click on the links after midnight, it redirects them back to the registration page. They can go re-register, but it starts the whole sequence over. But it does close down. I can't buy anymore. And then Monday we start back over, new ads, new funnel, start driving traffic, and then just keep it going through.
Bloody hell. And so can people then buy this Evergreen or, okay. So they can, but also.
Yeah. But it's because people always say like, why do you close down the cart? They can still buy it. I'm like, they can, like, it closes down like this sequence, like the sequence closes down and the offer disappears. Like you can't buy it through this funnel. If they want to go, they can go find this page they could buy it, or they can go re-register and go through the whole sequence again. But it's legitimate urgency and scarcity that we close this down at midnight, where it's like you can't buy it. So that's what happened last week we did the webinar. We had 10,000 people register. As soon as Thursday started, we turned off the registration page for the next week. Boom. And so what's been happening is last week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, like people are still registering from the ad. So we had 4,000 people that lined up for today, and then we'll hit that one. And so today they'll flip to the registration page and just keeps rolling and
wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And then do you connect these up to your CRM through ClickFunnels and stuff as well?
Yeah, ClickFunnels is a CRM, so it's all.
Oh, it is. Oh, fine. It's all.
We're in everything. ClickFunnels, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
And that's kind of it. And then, like I said, you can still do YouTube videos and like push to like, hey, go watch my web class about whatever.
Yeah.
Which is great.
But that's kind of a nice pitch because it's like a free thing.
Yeah.
And they're getting more free value. Yeah.
And then from an ad standpoint, like putting ads, webinars on ads is the best way we do it. Like we can. Of all the things we drive traffic to, the thing that's most profitable to paid ads are webinars, because we're making more money back here, right?
Yeah.
But also we get so many leads coming in.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Damn.
And the other thing you can do is that also is like this right here. So when someone registers for the webinar on the thank you page, you go, hey, by the way, go get my dollar thing. So you'll start selling tons of these too.
Yeah.
Just by having it in the sign up flow.
Okay. Question.
Yeah.
Should we have a $300 midpoint between these two things? Because we're thinking of making this $1,000 a year as like a thingy with like all of the stuff, or like a lighter version of like the YouTuber operating system for 300 as a self-paced course.
Yes. If I say yes, but where you position it in your sequence is key. Like you still want, like this would still be the thing I'd sell on the webinar because it's got the highest price point, easiest for you to make money back and be profitable. And then, what we typically do is after the campaign closes down for them and, Monday midnight closes down, then, Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins do this the best. They call the No Customer Left Behind campaign. So when Tony and Dean do the big launches and they close it down, a week later, they message everyone like, hey, hope you enjoyed the challenge or the webinar. If you did enjoy it, if you signed up, congratulations, excited to work with you. If you didn't, we don't want to leave anyone behind. We want everyone to leave with something. And so they have this, other offer. So, the offer they put out is it's TonyRobbinsInnerCircle.com. It's like $100 a month and you get a Tony Robbins lucky hat and you get whatever. It's $100 a month. And they send everyone to that after the sequence is over. And they do like, they do like $8 or $9 million a year off of this offer that's like on the backside of it. So what I would do is after you've gone through this, you've done your best case trying to get this, Then when the campaign ended, I'd come back and say, hey, for those who weren't able to get started, we had this really cool thing. Maybe you can afford it. This is something to get you started and get you blah, blah, blah. So like, that's where I would position that in the sequence.
So that's how when it comes to ads, but like, let's say if an organic lead from YouTube were to go to youtuberacademy.com or whatever, would you show that, hey, we've got 300, we've got 1,000, we've got apply now? Would
like in your description, you mean? Like,
no, just like on the page, like if you go on youtuberacademy.com, so, hey, welcome to the YouTuber Academy. We have these 3 things for you. We've got a 300 thing, we've got a $1,000 thing, we've got a 5K thing. Is that like?
I think that's fine for organic, but in the paid world, no one ever sees that. They only see
the funnel.
They only see what you point into. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't have any problem with that somewhere else. But again, I'm not as good organically, so none of my people would ever see that. It'd be hard for them to find it. Like, but
yeah, this is the thing. So like even with like Brendan's stuff, like I signed up for his Experts Academy through an ad, and I was trying to find it on Google. I was like, why does he make it so hard for me to pay money to him? Because I'm trying to recommend it to people. I'm like, I literally can't find the URL. But yeah,
and that's why.
Yeah, that's the one.
We want to be able to control the buying situation, right? Because you think about it, socially, you have all this chaos, all these people, and it's like for me, it's like, hey, take chaos or ads or whatever. It's like I need to move them to a spot where I'm controlling the conversation.
Yep.
And that's cool about the funnel. It gives you the ability to like slow things down and take them through the logical sequence of events you need to be able to make the argument for why they need to buy your thing and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, I always struggle with this. So Jakob, who's our head of marketing, he's been pushing me to do webinars for ages, and he'll make the slides, and then when it comes to the sales bit at the end, I like blitz through it, and I like my energy towards it is very like, oh yeah, but you don't need to buy the thing, it's all good. And he's like, bro, what are you doing?
You're such a content developer. You don't want to sell like no.
Yeah. Any tips?
Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah, a lot of people struggle with that. I mean, there's 2 things. There's the math and the drama. Which one do you want?
I think it's the drama problem.
So here's the drama.
Yeah.
The drama is people feel uncomfortable selling.
Yeah.
Because they feel like they're doing something wrong, or they're like, I'm doing this to you.
Yeah.
Which is like what keeps people late. So, especially people who are really good content developers, is like they've been giving so much content for free forever. As soon as they're asking specifically for you to do something, it feels awkward.
Yeah.
So the big thing is just, I think, really understanding that, like, at least my belief and what I've experienced, like if people don't pay and they don't pay attention, like they get free stuff and they feel good, but then the people who actually do something, it's like a funnel. Like the number of people who actually do something is smaller and smaller. Like the people in my world who've had the most success are also surprising as people who invested the most amount of money because they pay attention, they keep showing up. And so I realized for me, it's like, I have all these people I'm serving and I love these people, I care about them, I want to be successful. But if I actually want them to be successful, I have to convince them to make an investment themselves to get them off the sidelines and into the game. Right. So that's the thing. So like when I believe that, and it's not just like lip service, but like I subconsciously believe like if I don't convince this person to buy, then I can't actually help them. Then it shifts everything. Like I'm speaking on stage, I'm selling, like, I literally pray before I go out there, like, please help me to have the ability to convince these people so I can get them, so I can actually be successful. Like I can't do it just by giving them free stuff because they're not going to commit. It's like I need to get them to do something. So for me, it's like it's no longer hard for me to sell because it's like as much as I love and care about these people, the only way I'm actually going to be able to get them to do the shifts they need is I have to get them to invest in themselves, or they won't. So that's the biggest problem. That's the drama. It's like you got to convince yourself of that. And then the math is just like, here's how we structure that. We have to structure, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does your guy, does he do his pitch side similar to how I do mine, like stacking and stuff like that? So the biggest thing is like the people I've seen who've been uncomfortable with it, it's the ones who are trying to like to be me, or they're trying to like there's a way to make it your own that's not me, right? Mm-hmm. Like I have my method, and so a lot of people like try to do my way, and like I feel so uncomfortable. Like, yeah, well, you're not me. Like the psychology is there. The psychology is like you're making them offers, and you're making an offer, right? And there's value to each thing. And if I show you, like when I was like trying to learn how to speak from stage, I went for 4 or 5 years. I was going to 2 or 3 events a month, just to like watch people speak and how they were selling. And like what most people would do, I think we've transitioned a lot like in the last couple of years. What most people do is they would talk about what they have to offer, right? They're like, the first thing you're gonna get is this, and then you're gonna get this, and it's like they share like this is the thing that they have that's worth like $10,000, and then this is the bonus that's worth $1,000. This is my bonus worth $50, and then this, and they get down to like usually the last bonus is like the worst one, right? And then from there, like so the price, it's worth $5,000, but I'm only gonna charge you $1,000, right? But the problem is the human mind, you probably know this better than I do, but the human mind only really remembers the last thing that it was told, right? Especially in the moment. So right here, I'm telling you that there's a $5,000 offer but all you remember is like, that bonus you gave me is not worth $5,000. And also you have this internal conflict. And I'm like, but you get it for $1,000. You're like, but that's not even worth $1,000. Like they forget about the thing, right? So the way the stack works, and again, I do it more salesman style because that's my style. But if you understand the psychology is like, if you're making an offer, right? The first thing you got to do is like, here's the first component of the offer, and you explain it, you talk about it, you show us why it's awesome. And then what we do is we create a stack slide to show like, so the first thing you're gonna get is this, and here's the value associated with it, right? So that's how much it's worth. Then you're gonna introduce the next thing, right? You talk about that, and then you come back, and then you have to stack it. So you show the next thing is like, so what that means is you're gonna get this thing plus this thing. If you add those two things together, this is the value of it. Then you introduce the third thing, so on and so forth. Fine. And then the end of it is you come back and like, then you have all of the things they're going to get in the offer. And this is where you introduce like whatever its value is. Because then they associate with this, not this. So that's the psychology. So you can do it in a way that's less Russell Brunson, used car salesman, pitchman, whatever you want to call me, right? You can do like the Ollie version, which could be different. It could be as simple as like not even using slides. You could like print out a copy of the course, like this is the first thing you're going to, it's going to be amazing. This, like, I'm going to put it right here. And this is the course I would sell for $1,000. Then this is the next thing. Like, you know, and you could figure out your version. It's just the psychology of helping them see so that when they see everything they're going to get, that the price differentiation makes sense. And that way, when you drop the price, it's like, oh, this actually is a really good value. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I've seen people do it. I've seen people who've done it where they write out the things on a whiteboard and they cover it with tape and they just pull it off. Like, oh, that's what it's going to be. I've seen other people who don't do slides at all. They're just explaining it. Yeah. They explain the parts and they show pictures of it or you know what it is. So just figure out a way that you feel comfortable. Cause you're just going to your friend and like saying like, this is the cool, like, let me show you all the cool things I'm going to give you for $1,000. And then if you think about it that way, hopefully.
Yeah. Like if I had someone looking over my shoulder and being like, hey, what's in the course? I'd be like, there's this and there's this and there's our camera confidence course bundled in and also there's our creatorpreneur course bundled in. But for some reason when it's on a webinar with slides, which I guess slides that someone else has made. Yeah. So maybe hearing you say.
And you don't even have to do slides. I teach, like, I'm a slide guy, so I do slides. Dean Graciosi, if you watch him, Dean's got one slide and it's this one. He does the entire thing, teaching, serving, doing it his way. He does stuff. Yeah. And the very end, he's like, here's my slide. And so it doesn't have to be, again, think of the psychology. It's like taking the structure and psychology of it and then making a version that's your own. Especially like your people are coming off YouTube, like they're used to seeing you in a very certain light. Like I would do it at your desk. I'd have, like make it look feel like a YouTube video. Yeah. And just make it feel your style. Don't do my style, do your style.
Yes, nice. Yeah, I think in my mind, I had to copy you because I've seen you do this on YouTube a bunch of times and I'm like, that feels weird. But you saying that, I can just do it my own way suddenly makes me feel, I can do it my own way. Like, I think I'm more the Dean style than the you style. It's like, great. Like I've seen him do it as well. And it comes across as very nice. Yeah. It's like so friendly. It's nice.
See, for me, it's like, I do it my way for a couple reasons. It's like, when you teach, it's like, if I'm teaching for whiteboard, like I'm freestyle, I'm going. When I'm trying to sell, like I don't freestyle because I have there's very certain things I need to do. So for me to remember where I'm going, it's all slide driven. Yeah. So for me, it's like the slides help me to remember the story and the thing and where I'm going. So that's why I do it that way. Yep. Some people don't need that, or some people have their own style. You know, like we talked earlier about YouTube videos. You got your three things. Like, here's the things they're going to cover. Just follow that process and make it your own,
That is very cool. Okay, next question. Yeah. This is absolutely sick, by the way. Thank you. One thing so we had a great chat with Ryan Dice, and one thing we were talking about is, I was saying this thing around, we want to try and dissociate business revenue from me showing up to make YouTube videos. Mm-hmm. The problem is sort of right now, our entire company is, it's sort of like, Abdaal company, and there's sort of like the content team, and then there's sort of like the commercial team, which has these two courses, the YouTube course and the productivity course. And we're sort of doing some software stuff on the side, but we don't need to talk too much about that. What Ryan suggested was that think of sort of YouTuber Academy and Productivity Lab as like almost separate entities, with Ali Abdaal Media as like your content arm. So that means the team for Ali Abdaal Media can just be focused on creating content and growing the email list and driving book sales. Great, nice and easy. YouTuber Academy team would have a head of growth and a head of product, and they can, Ali Abdaal Media can drive leads to this and drive leads to Productivity Lab. But actually these guys are now trying to get their own like paid ads and stuff, and having a dedicated head of growth for this thing, which is kind of 2 million a year, trying to grow it to 5. And then this is probably going to do like 1 million this year, and we're trying to grow it to 5. This would also need a head of growth and a head of product. And so then Ali Abdaal becomes just one of the lead gen channels for each of these 2 different products. And by separating them out into their own mini businesses, mini companies with their own like ClickFunnels account, their own like CRM, their own like landing pages, their own whatever, it means that these then become more saleable assets, whereas no one's ever going to buy Ali Abdaal Media.
I would buy it, but just kidding.
Yeah. What's your take on this approach of like separating out the different products into different sort of websites, assets?
I agree with that. My structure is very similar because I've got Russell Brunson. I don't call it Russell Brunson Media, but it's like there's me doing the stuff I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
And then we've got like the ClickFunnels company. We have the Russell Brunson, I call Marketing Secrets, which is all my info product businesses.
Yep.
Then I've got like Dan Kennedy's business we bought. I got Secrets to Success, which is my personal development business. And each of those has their own team of like an integrator, operator who's running it, and things like that. Then we have like one, just like you have like one content team. We have one ads team who are working across all of them though.
That would make sense. It would make sense for ads to be like a shared service across the business, like media buying and stuff.
Yeah. It seems like other HR stuff that's all shared. But as far as like you are correct, it's like, there's not someone focusing on the business and the growth, it'll just atrophy and die over time.
Yeah, because we have like one marketing guy who was previously trying to grow like all the things, and it's just like split focus.
Yeah.
Similarly, we found for social media, when our social media person is trying to grow all the platforms, they grow at a tiny rate. Yeah. When she focuses on just one thing, it grows massively.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, the focus thing.
Yeah.
I keep on seeing this so often in business that I always forget that it's a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking a little bit philosophically, one drama thing I often run into is, this is a good distinction, math and drama. One drama thing I often run into is, do I even need to grow the business to 10 million? Like, what's the point? I've got enough money. Like, am I just being like a capitalist pig, greedy, blah, blah, blah. Like, and then part of me is like, no, like I enjoy the game of entrepreneurship. This is fun. I love talking about this. That's so cool. I'm looking forward to like diving in and like thinking about these funnels and things. Do you get this sort of drama with people that you coach and talk to?
Yeah. It's different cultures too. You think about it, America is probably a different culture than Europe, right?
Oh yeah.
I think you guys struggle with that more than here. Where here it's like cutthroat, like, we're capitalists, like that's the American culture. But overseas, other places we work with clients, it's definitely harder, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it all comes down to like the motives of it, right? Like if this is your game, like if you're an athlete, like you want to be the best athlete in the world, right? That's, there's people who go on a team that are there, but like they're not trying. But like you think about this with, if your sport is entrepreneurship business and you're an athlete on the team, like what's the point if you're not trying to do something, yes, I have enough money. Yeah, Michael Jordan's like, yes, he won a championship, but what else you can do with your life, right? It's like, I feel like the time we're here on the earth it's a short period of time, obviously, but at the same time, it's like, there's not a lot to do. It's like, I spend time with my wife, my kids, and there's still like 8 hours a day to like do something. Like I can watch Netflix, or I can like create something of value that like fuels me, but it also like changes people's lives. Like, yeah, I think at least for me, when I started transitioning it less to like, I got to make $10 million to like, if I make $10 million, the amount of people I'm going to be able to affect is double. Like that fires me up even more so, just realizing that part of it. And then you start seeing the ripple effect of that, right? Like when we launched ClickFunnels, that was one of the coolest things. Is like initially it was like a vehicle and tool for me and my business partner Todd to make money. And then we started seeing people having success. So like, whoa, those guys are making money. And it became more exciting. Like, look how much money these guys are making. And then the obsession became like helping them. And then what was cool is like, then these people who are all small entrepreneurs, they started hiring teams and people. And like, I remember one time we did an audit. We tried to figure out, just of ClickFunnels active users, how many employees each person had. It was like on average, like 2.5. So like, that's 250,000 employees that have jobs because of the ClickFunnels ecosystem, right? And then we started thinking about, I started looking at each individual entrepreneur, like Caitlin Poland launched Lady Boss, and they had like 1.5 million women on the email list who were following them. They had like 100,000 active customers who bought their products, who lost weight. And I was like, that one entrepreneur that affected, 100,000 plus people. And you start looking at the ripple effect, how it starts going. And then for me, like that's what fires me up more than the 10 million. It's like how many lives are changed because you did this thing? Like that's the more exciting thing, right? And this actually, I'm going to caveat this because comes back to a question you asked like an hour ago, but like the ads, like how do you create ads long term? But like if you start looking at this differently, like the first level of ads people have is like them telling the story like, hey, I'm Ollie, I'm successful. You want to be successful? Go watch my webinar, right? Which is good. But then what's better is when you come down and you talk about or your customers' stories. Like, this is a much better story and it's a much better ad. Like, having this person come on and be like, I went through Ali's course and blah, 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 and it changed my life. It was amazing. Like, if you guys want to check it out too, boom. Like, that ad will out-convert you doing the ad, right? And you have tons of these people all telling, like, every time you give someone a success story, you capture them telling the story, and that becomes the ad, which fuels the thing. Like, we talk about you have like 30, whatever, Alex told you, 30 ads a month or whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be you doing 30 ads. Like, get 30 people success stories, and those people each create 3 ads. Now you got ads for the next 90 days, right? And so it's like looking at that, like, there's like the first tier, which is most entrepreneurs focus on themselves. And then the second tier, which most people never get to, is like the focus of the customers. And then that becomes the success stories that drive the business to the next level and beyond. So anyway, it gets more fun that way. Cause then it's like, we change someone's life and you capture that. So like for us, when I started realizing this, when someone would have success and they went to a Common Club Award or something, like we'd fly them to Boise, we'd fly to them. Dan Usher on our team, he bought like a camper trailer, and he took like 4 months off and just drove around the country to people's houses to capture these stories. We brought him back and they became little mini documentaries. They became videos. They became ads. They became like all this social assets. And like hearing, Gabe Schillinger in San Francisco, who was a musician, the fact that he never won a Grammy, but he's got 32 Common Club Awards on the wall, selling his music beats. Like, that's way more fascinating than I sold a potato gun 25 years ago. And let me tell you my story. Like that's inspiring. That's fascinating. And then it opens up a whole new world of people. It's also tough because like in our audiences, like people who like me or they don't like me, right? Or they relate to me or they don't. But when Caitlin Poland came and she did her whole story, like she's a female entrepreneur, and all of a sudden that brought all these female entrepreneurs in our world. When I had somebody else tell a story, like it brings different segments of the world in that may not relate with me or with you or whoever it is. Anyway, so that kind of maybe hopefully answers 2 questions.
Yeah, no, that's great. Like what I'm getting from that is like actually, in my mind, I've been thinking, the goal is 10 million because various people have said, it's useful to work back from a revenue goal.
Yeah.
But just changing the framing of it more towards, the goal is to change more people's lives with these products.
Yeah.
And like, sure, the videos are good and sure, the book is good, but like really, the people, for example, going through Productivity Lab and some of the people who've gone through YouTuber Academy have genuinely had their lives changed and are just like raving fans now.
Yeah.
And if we could get like more of like those are the people we're serving and shifting from that, I want to get to 10 million revenue because it's fun, and more towards, I want to serve more people because it's fun and just nice and just like it's what I do and I need something to do to pass the time. That makes it feel a lot better and probably means that I'd be less subconsciously sabotaging myself en route to, and then I guess the revenue takes care of itself.
You start taking these people and you start putting them on a pedestal, then other people aspire to that as well. It's like, oh my gosh, like, especially if you start bringing these people on your YouTube channel, they're telling their story on the YouTube channel. The other people are like, oh my gosh, like if I'm successful, maybe they'll have me. So they start working harder. Like we started doing 2 Common Club Awards. People started seeing it. Then they're like, I want that. And they became more aspirational and started working harder because they wanted that thing too. You know what I mean?
Nice. Dude, thank you so much. This has been absolutely wonderful. Any final parting advice? Like we've spent a couple of hours together, so you have a sense of like what my stuff is. Any unsolicited feedback, any advice, anything you would say?
I think the biggest thing, like I said, we just need the right webinar, the right funnel to sell a $1,000 course. Like you have so much traffic and eyeballs on the front end for free that I'm so jealous of. And I think converting those people through free web class will make you money. But then again, the ability to turn ads. I think scaling to an extra $5 million when you turn ads on is not going to be that difficult. The profit margins will shift. I think you said earlier, 60% profit margin. Like when you're doing paid ads, you're close to probably 25-30% is more. So just realizing that as you're doing paid ads, profits shrink a little bit. But I think getting to 10 million won't be like, as soon as you get the ads thing working, you'll be able to scale past that a lot quicker.
Got it.
That makes sense. Like remember when Hormozy first joined Inner Circle? The first call, he's like, my goal, if I made $20,000 a month, that would change my life forever. I was like, dude, I could tell by talking to him like that he was going to be insanely good. I was like, if we only make you $20,000 a month, like we did everything wrong. Yeah. Like same thing, like to get an extra $5 million in sales. Right now you're doing 2 product launches a year and you're at 5 million, whatever it is. Like you turn on Evergreen where people can buy every day instead of twice a year. Like you should at least double. You should at least get to 10 million. Yeah. If you don't go aggressive with, if you go aggressive with that, I think you get 20, 30 million just by pushing it hard, So I don't know.
Damn. Thank you. Oh, final question. Any key hires that you think like important who's to help like facilitate this? Should we, like at the moment we're working with an ads agency, but should we bring it in-house? We've got about 20 people on the team, about 10 on the content side and about 10 on the courses side. I wonder, who are some key hires to think about?
That's such a hard, so specifically ad stuff. In the short term, obviously you don't want to shift your focus and like, let me learn how to build a paid ads team. Yeah. But over the long term, it's also tough, like working through an agency, because agency by definition is like, you have a percentage of their focus and their time, which makes it harder. Because ideally, if you had somebody who's in-house long-term, who's looking at all your, all the content you're making right now, look at how can I take that and how can I turn that into paid ads, right? Because you're doing more content than anybody right now. You have so much out there. Like every video you put out there could turn into 4 different ads, 5 different, but you need someone who's be able to see that. But an agency's not going to do that because they're going to come back and like, hey, here's 6 scripts. If you can, what I mean? Like they're going to give you that versus like someone. So maybe seeing like somebody just an ads focused content person on your team whose only goal is to like watch what you're doing and then from there figure out what are the sound bites so we can turn into ads to push to the course, and pulling those things out for an agency because the agency is just not going to give you the hands-on you need. But in the short term, you also don't want to build an ad agency. That sucks too. So maybe like having someone on your team just focusing on like, on pulling the that kind of stuff out. And I mean, honestly, I would have maybe you already have this person, somebody who is in charge of the funnels, like watching it, optimizing it, tweaking it, looking at stats, looking at numbers. Like, it's funny. I don't know if you know Andy Elliott. He's very sales driven. I went to his office. He's got 90 sales guys and 2 people running their funnels. I was like, so fascinating. You come to my office and we've got, 1 salesperson and like 30 people working on the funnels. Cause I'm funnel focused, right? We're optimizing conversion and numbers and stats and trying to figure those things out. So having someone who can do that, because the difference in getting your landing page conversion from 30% to 40% doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Other than that means you get 25% more people to show up to every single webinar, which is insane. Like over time, that's an extra $2 million a year by just having someone focusing on that, right? Or focusing on getting show up rates or focusing on the close, like all those little pieces. Yeah. It's just like, that's like a little hinge that swings a huge door. Because so much traffic's coming in there and sells out the back end. Yeah. It's like having someone who's just focused on the funnel and the optimization of it would be probably the other one that I think would be really helpful for you.
Amazing. Great stuff. Thanks, man.
Sweet, man.
Good sesh.
That was really fun.
All right, so that's it for this week's episode of Deep Dive. Thank you so much for watching or listening. All the links and resources that we mentioned in the podcast are going to be linked down in the video description or in the show notes, depending on where you're watching or listening to this. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, then do please leave us a review on the iTunes store. It really helps other people discover the podcast. Or if you're watching this in full HD or 4K on YouTube, then you can leave a comment down below and ask any questions or any insights or any thoughts about the episode. That would be awesome. And if you enjoyed this episode, you might like to check out this episode here as well, which links in with some of the stuff that we talked about in the episode. So thanks for watching. Do hit the subscribe button if you aren't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.